Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we're taking another cheeky look at Vechain, and specifically, can the VET token 100x? So Chris, this is something that we've seen a little bit on, but I think ultimately this is something that we feel is very possible, right? We do think that 100x is definitely on the cards for Vechain and the VET token, and we're kind of going to go through a little bit of information with you guys just to kind of air our views and opinions on this matter, because we do think that Vechain could do incredibly well, not only in 2021 but also for the longer term. So 100x is something that is obviously possible moving further forward. But I think also, Chris, given the right kind of circumstances and environment, even 2021 has a good shot at getting that 100x gain. This is obviously your biggest bag, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it's my biggest bag. We've talked about this project an awful lot on live streams, in videos. We've covered it extensively over the last, I don't know, 4 months or so that we've been on YouTube, right? And it's my biggest bag for a reason. I've already seen a 3,000% growth on my investment. Even though there were people at times saying that it wasn't really doing anything, I don't think they were quite looking at the charts in the right way. And I think this is set to continue. And now that it's got a bit of momentum behind it, I feel that, there's more people talking about it, the bigger channels talking about it. We're going to see some fantastic things from Vechain. It's a remarkable project.
It really is a remarkable project. So guys, if you do find this video useful, informative, maybe even entertaining, smash up that like button, yeah, we'll see if we can push this content out even further. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you're not even subscribed yet, well, why? Why not? Go ahead, subscribe. It's free, and we'll keep you up to date with all of the various crypto news and various different things that we put out here at Cheeky Crypto. So do recommend subscribing. Right.
Yeah.
So Chris, let's talk a little bit about Vechain, because I know we know it incredibly well, and some of the viewers might be relatively new. But Vechain is an important project. It mainly focuses on supply chain, but it has dabbled in a few additional areas as well, such as hospitality. Most recently, with risk assessments and virus control and all that kind of good stuff. They've done a lot of work with China in that regard. Cyprus and even Greece is potentially trying to jump on the bandwagon. They do work globally, despite some of the FUD that you hear, right, Chris? And you hear a lot of FUD, don't we?
We do. We hear so much. And, when it was under a cent and I was purchasing it, like there's no tomorrow, and telling people to do the same after doing their own research, I was certain they would do. Obviously, not a financial advisor, but, we were saying do your own research. And if you do, I'm pretty sure you're going to choose to invest. Yet people decided not to. And now we've got all the FOMO, all the fear of missing out. Everybody's sort of getting into Vechain. We have seen a nice little retrace. So in my opinion, it's still immensely undervalued.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's had a good retrace, so you can definitely be picking up some if you're in the position to do so. But of course, let's just touch on some of those foundations, right? So Vechain was originally launched on the Ethereum blockchain, but due to lack of functionality and ability to scale, Sunny Liu and the rest of the team over at Vechain decided, actually, it's best to create our own blockchain. So they actually parted ways. That was a little while ago, so the token has obviously restarted again on the Vechain 4 blockchain. Okay, that's officially what it's called. And ultimately, there are, as you can see over here, a maximum supply of 86.7 billion tokens, of which 64.3 billion are in circulating supply. So it is a high token project, and by no stretch of imagination do you think that it isn't, because it is. And ultimately, there is $2.7 billion as a market cap as it stands today. So quite significant, quite meaty project, and lots of meats on the bone already. But nonetheless, that's still incredibly tiny in comparison to some other projects that aren't even delivering almost. And the reason that I bring this up is Vechain is utilized in a lot of countries and a lot of businesses. It's actually the only blockchain service provider in the world that has a 5-star TÜV rating, and that's a massive deal. So it's important that we understand some of these things that are going on here in terms of blockchain technology that's actually being utilized around the world by many businesses today. Vechain ticks those boxes. It has been recognized as a 5-star, rated service provider for blockchain technology. And it has some fantastic technology, doesn't it, Chris? Such as the Vechain toolchain.
Yeah, and I was going to say, at the moment, it's not fundamentals and use case that is driving the price and adoption of some of these projects. That will happen when the market matures a little bit. So Vechain is going to get the traction that's going to, drive the price discovery that we're going to talk through in a moment, because it's already being used and the use case is immense, and it's got that real I don't know, use case that's going to want, companies are going to want to adopt. And I think that's really important. You're not seeing that with other projects. It's funny because people leave comments in some of the videos saying, but what's the use case and this, that, the other, and it's like, well, the market isn't really driven by that at the moment, but we are kind of looking at when the market is more mature, and I think it is going to be important for projects like Vechain. They will be successful because they're already being used.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's crucially important. And as Chris says there, ultimately, fundamentals are not really impacting price. It's just pure speculation at this point. But we are a growing, asset class, right? We currently have a market cap of $1.5 trillion and ever growing. We're expecting this bull cycle, to top out at about $5 trillion in market cap. It's a significant growth from the 300 billion that it was when we started our channel here. So with Vechain specifically, and when we talk about 100x on the price, it's going to be led and kind of driven from a couple of different factors, at least in our opinions. The first thing is that during a bull cycle, we have lots of retail investors coming into this space and basically buying up anything that is, cheap and affordable. That's kind of like speculating. You can speculate on the price, right? And I'm like to believe that some individuals in this space will also be doing some research into those projects before investing. They won't just be buying up any old, low value coin. Instead, they'll hopefully do their research and find actually that Vechain is being used globally. It's in Germany, France, Italy, UK, over in China, Singapore, Cyprus, Greece, the United States. It's truly everywhere. So I like to think that so many fantastic things are going on in the real world will eventually actually help drive that price. And specifically around that FOMO as well, because it is a high capacity token, such as 86 billion in maximum supply. That means that the price is relatively low. That means that investors can come in here, see that it's quite low, see that actually it's doing some pretty good things, and actually think that it's a good investment. And I think so too, right? And also it's worth noting that Vechain operates a dual token system. There's the VET token and the V4 token. The VET token is the currency, whereas the V4 is the gas token, okay, which you use the V4 to pay for transaction fees. So when you onboard businesses into the Vechain ecosystem, those businesses are basically incentivized to hodl, large sums of the VET token, because by hodling the VET token, you can generate the V4 that's needed for your transactions. So the best business case that really Vechain can make to a large enterprise is basically say, look, why don't you run the big, top tier node, right? It requires about 16 million VET tokens, but you'll earn enough V4 whilst you running that node to actually pay for all of your transactions, making the whole thing pretty cost neutral, or potentially even, paying back its initial investment over time, which is a really good, strong business case. So the more businesses that are on board and the more businesses that hodl the VET token, the lower the circulating supply will become. And obviously, the lower that circulating supply and an increase in demand from more businesses wanting to onboard with Vechain, you can bet your bottom dollar, Chris, that the VET price is going to grow, nicely as that demand does too. So you potentially might be thinking long term. I still think though, Chris, that we could quite we have a shot here for potentially 100x on this market cap. That would bring it in, well above that $200 billion level, and it's a significant chunk. I think there's a shot, but it does require quite a lot of marketing on Vechain's part. It requires a lot of YouTubers and other kind of third parties to kind of bring some attention to the project. And if not, and we do fall a little short of that 100x, we could still see significant prices. It wouldn't be too surprised, Chris, if that market cap goes from the 2.7 billion that it is today up to 100 billion during the peak of this bull cycle. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were the case. And in which case we could potentially be looking at a $2 in that range VET token, and that's a significant price from the 4 cent that it is today. So there's huge potential here for Vechain, and I think 100x, there's a definite shot for it, but it does require the entire community of this crypto space to really rally together, to try to push things further forward, instead of this tribalism that we're seeing a lot of. I think it's important that we don't divide each other, we grow together as a community, and together, we can drive wider adoption of this whole asset class. This whole, tribalism aspect to this space is poisonous. It's poisonous to all projects. Even if you're, invested in, let's say, Bitcoin, and you're a maximalist of Bitcoin, you should want these altcoins to do well, because in doing so, your Bitcoin will do well too. There is not a world where Bitcoin can facilitate transactions and do everything else, as well as smart contracts and everything that you might need in the real world. It cannot be a world where one project rules them all. This is a multi-project space. Admittedly, we cannot have 8,587 cryptocurrencies, Chris. We joke about this a lot on our live streams. We can't do that. But we can see, at least a handful of projects being very, very successful in the future and working together in an interoperability way, right? So they need to be able to operate, collaboratively together. And as I was saying earlier, like, tribalism just is poisonous. We want to avoid it. And, if we can do these things and, start actually helping drive the adoption without, hating on other projects, I think the whole space will flourish. I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that, Chris.
Yeah, the tribalism is one of these things. It really does start to grind on me. It's just needless, like, FUD. Just because you don't invest in a particular project, I just don't think it gives people the right to say that a coin's a crap coin, for example. I just don't think that that's good for the space. I don't think that it's good for the project in which you're normally referring to. And when I say this, normally it's a case of when people are saying, oh, this is a crap coin, they're normally saying, I don't know, their project is a much favorable place to invest your money. And I think that's dangerous in the respect that you've got people that are new to the space. So I don't want to get on my high horse. I just kind of feel like, what, like, you get more results with honey, and you attract through being good and positive in a space. And the more I see tribalism, the less inclined I am to invest in that project or even talk about that project. But that's just me, Nick.
No, that's ultimately it. Like, when we start seeing people being overly negative about one project and trying to plug their own, well, automatically as a YouTuber, we're like, well, we're just not going to talk about the project that you're, trying to promote, because that community is toxic, as I see it, and we don't like environments like that. We don't want it for our channel, and we don't want it for the space.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like it's fine if it's if you're trying to get a point across, like you think something's a scam, for example, and you can back it up with some evidence, like, that's fine, that's needed, as long as you can back it up. But when it's just an opinion based on the fact that you like a project more than another, or more likely to be the case, you don't know enough about the said project to make a comment like that. For me, it's just something that needs to leave this space. I invest in several different markets, and this is the only one where I experience this utter crap. And that is exactly what it is. So yeah, we want to nurture new people into this space, support one another, and make crypto an adoptable space. And I don't think that makes it an adoptable space. Sorry to rant, but I think some of this stuff just needs to be said.
Okay, so in summary, Chris, Vechain, the VET token, do we think it can 100x? I believe that there's a shot at it. But only together can we get there. Otherwise, we might only see a 50x from this position. And I think that is definitely possible. I think there's a good shot at that, given the fact that we are expecting a $5 trillion market cap for all crypto. I've obviously said quite a bit on our Vechain videos. I'm expecting 50 cents. And once we get to 50 cents, we'll reassess and see if we can go after that dollar and then move up towards that $2 range. We've seen quite a few analysts predicting Vechain to $2. So, that would represent around that 50x level. But what's your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I kind of feel like we've been transparent now about where we think the market's going to go at the peak of the bull run, right? Which is that 5 trillion market cap for the whole of the crypto space, right? Now, we were talking about multi-trillion market back when we first started, when I think Nick mentioned earlier in the video around the 300 billion that was in circulation at the time, and people were calling us crazy. But look at us now. We don't look so crazy, right? When Bitcoin's almost a multi-trillion asset alone. 1 trillion, yeah. But it's getting there, right? So yeah, for me, like, I expect the projects with real use case to be those projects that do well and are the ones that the investors will gravitate to. And I think Vechain sort of encompasses a lot of that. Whether people read too much into the FUD around it, being a centralized China coin and all this utter rubbish that I read and hear, is to be seen, right? But blue sky world, is it possible? Yes, I believe it is. I would like to see some of the price points that we discuss regularly, the 50 cent, as Nick mentions. But we have talked about analysts talking about $2 and stuff like that historically on the channel. And again, I wouldn't be invested as heavily as I am in this project if I didn't, believe like truly that it would get there. And I think it will. Whether we're going to see that 2021 to be seen, right? I guess only time will tell.
Absolutely. So guys, if you found this useful, informative, then do go ahead and smash that like button. Chris appreciates it, I appreciate it, and I like to think that you appreciate it too. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed, do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with all the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And with all this said and done, we hope you have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, take care.